conduct the hearing today, and I'm required to base my decision on your application and the evidence that is presented today. I will either recommend approval or modified approval, or I will deny the application. There will be a record that will be made, and following the hearing there will be a transcript, and once it's approved there will be a final report submitted to the county board. If I deny your request today and it goes to the county board, you would need a 3/4 majority vote of the county board members then in attendance. If I approve your petition, then you simply need a majority of the county board members in attendance at the next hearing. The next hearing date is when?
The next hearing date?
Or
when the county board?
County board?
May 16th.
Is that what I told you?
That's what you told me.
What is it?
May 16th, yes.
And you do not have to attend that. You certainly can if you choose to do so, but more likely than not, you'll be on what's called the consent agenda with a number of other items. That'll be, generally, if you're on that agenda, it is approved. This is a fact-finding hearing. You will be placed under oath. You'll have to testify under oath. We're not going to follow strict rules of evidence, but if there's a question that's asked, you have to answer yes or no. You can't shake the head or simply say, mm-hmm. And I would ask that you treat staff with respect. Me, I don't ask that. We are ready to proceed. Which one are we doing first?
We'll do 23-12.
And that would be the river or the lake?
That's the lake.
That'd be you folks. Can you tell us what brings you here today?
To ask for a variance for a garage addition.
Can you keep your voice up a smidge so we can have the record made clearly?
Oh, to ask for a variance for a garage addition?
Okay, and why do you need the garage addition?
To protect personal property?
You have some kind of a trailer that is sitting to the left of your house as I'm facing your house. Is that correct?
Correct.
What are you going to do with that?
No.
What are you going to do with it?
Oh, what are you gonna, oh, I thought you said.
After you put the addition on, what happens to that?
Oh, that goes away.
Okay, so that won't be sitting there to the side of your new addition?
Correct.
Okay. Your survey said that your driveway was concrete, but technically it's asphalt, is that correct?
Correct.
And as I'm facing your house, there's a parking pad to the right that currently has a vehicle parked on it. Is that on your property or your neighbor's property?
It's on our property.
It is on your property?
Yes.
What happens to that when this is granted? Does that remain?
I think it remains, yes.
Okay. And as I face your house, you seem to have a lot more side yard to the left than you do to the right. Is that correct?
Correct.
And even with the proposed addition, you will still have a substantial amount of property to the side of your house as I'm facing your house. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
As I drive down your neighbor's street, it appears that many of your neighbors are very, very close to the lot lines and have very limited side yards. Is that also correct?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Okay. And how long have you lived there?
Since 1996.
Okay. And what exactly are you proposing to build?
Garage addition.
Okay. And will that be closer to West Lake Shore Drive than the existing structure, or will it be set back?
It will not be closer.
It'll be-
And have you talked to your neighbors about what you are seeking to do?
Yes.
And what have they generally said?
No, not much of anything.
Did any people say it's a good idea? That they have no problem with it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a better answer.
Yeah. Sorry.
Pay attention, please. Staff, do you have anything to add or to comment on?
No, and I have nothing to add. I think that is a good request. It's not going any closer to the street than the front of the house currently is, so there's no further encroachment.
And wouldn't you agree that a bunch of the existing property owners are very close to these side lot lines?
Yes.
And as I understand it, there is no current violation of any kind on the property?
Correct. Actually, I do just want to, for the record, I just wanted to ask the owner, you did obtain a variance from the health department to be closer to the septic field than the required 20 feet, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that has been recently approved, and they were gonna send, we already have a copy of it, they were sending it to the building department, so that,
Okay, and that would be about 10 feet from the
10
new
feet.
addition? Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you.
And for the record, where is your well and where is your septic?
The septic is on the very north end of the property, 20 feet from the existing structure in that green grass area.
Okay, and where is the well?
We're on city water.
You are on city water?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. City water comes in the front yard.
And Kim, with what they're requesting, that wouldn't require any change in the existing septic system, isn't that correct?
From my understanding, correct.
Okay. And for the record, the applicants are David and Lori Bussey. They are co-trustees of the trust. They are seeking a variation within the R1 single-family residential district to allow a setback of 15 feet from the street lot line instead of the minimum 30 feet required. The property consists of .33 acres, is located on the east side of West Lake Shore Drive, approximately 60 feet south of the intersection of Acorn Path and West Lake Shore Drive. The common or street address is 3512 West Lake Shore Drive, Wonder Lake, Greenwood Township, Illinois. The tax ID or PIN number is 0813426027, and the zoning on the north, south, and west would be single-family residential. To the east would be Wonder Lake. The property is currently zoned R1 single-family residential with the Legacy Neighborhood designation, and that designation would also apply to the north, south, and west adjacent zoned property, and again to the east would be Wonder Lake. Municipal plans within 1.5 miles would be Greenwood designates as property residential, Bull Valley has no designation, Wonder Lake says residential, McHenry has no designation. The property is currently improved with a frame residence, concrete boathouse, concrete driveway, probably asphalt. There are no wetlands on the property, and there is some flood area of the 100-year flood on the property, and appears that there was a flood of record on the eastern portion of the property adjacent to Wonder Lake. There are no zoning violations currently on the property. If this were to be granted, the petitioner could then apply for the building permit and get the certificate of completion for what is being proposed. Going through the standards that I gave to you, if we can go through those, this is where you have to pay attention, okay? Kind of like you're in school and the teacher gives you the answer. Isn't it true? Yes, you understand. Okay, good. We're doing well. Isn't it true that the particular surrounding, shape, or topographical condition of the specific property involved would result in a particular hardship upon the owner as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the strict letter of the regulations were carried out? Isn't it true?
Yes.
Yes.
Good answer. Isn't it also true that the conditions upon which the application for variation are based are unique to the property for which the variation is sought and are not generally applicable to other property within the same zoning district? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Yes.
And isn't it also true that the purpose of the variation is not based exclusively upon a desire to increase the monetary gain realized from the property? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Isn't it true that the alleged difficulty or hardship is caused by the ordinance and has not been created by any person presently having an interest in the property? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Yes.
Isn't it also true that the granting of the variation will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood in which the property is located? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Yes.
Isn't it also true that the proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, nor substantially increase the congestion in the public streets, or increase the danger of fire, or endanger the public safety, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the adjacent neighborhood? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Isn't it also true that the granting of this requested variation will not confer on you, the applicant, any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other land or structure within the same zoning district? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Yes.
If your neighbor had a similar situation, made a similar request, do you believe that their request should also be granted?
Yes.
Yes.
And what you're doing will not in any way impair the sight line on the road in front of you, correct?
Correct.
Because you're going to be set back a little bit farther than the existing structure, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Does staff have anything that they wish to say or add?
Just, I guess for the record, I just wanted to clarify, you are also proposing a covered entryway at the same setback as the addition, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
I'm sorry, I saw that and forgot that.
That's okay.
Do you not already have something over the doorway?
Yes.
So what are you proposing that's different from what you currently have?
It'll have a different roof line to it, basically, than what's there now. Right now, it's an overhang. It'll have a more,
So why is that required?
Because anytime you do new construction, it has to conform with the current setback requirements.
And what's currently there is in violation of?
It isn't in compliance with the current setback requirements, but probably at the time that it was constructed, it met the requirements.
All right. That would bring this to conclusion. I would be in favor of this request. They have met the requisite standards, and they have a beautifully maintained home, and what they are seeking to do will still have more of a side yard than almost all of their neighbors, many of whom are literally just about on the lot line. So I would be in favor of this request and would go to the county board meeting.
May 16th.
Okay. And you guys can be there if you want to see the government in action, but you don't have to be.
Okay.
You can call staff the day after,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
All right,
okay,
good
thank
luck.
you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I would have been nicer too if I wasn't so damn jealous.
We'll take you for a boat ride.
Yeah, there you go.
Can we, is
Yeah,
it?
we're
Okay,
good?
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Are you gonna get yelled at?
Good luck on the river.
Good luck.
Maybe we were the easier one?
Yeah.
Take care, guys. Good luck.
Thank
Hey,
you.
quick question.
You're not related to Rod Busing, are you?
Rodney Bussey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
It's a must-see we're usually.
Yeah, okay, figured. Good friends of ours, that's why I wondered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, good luck.
All
Take care,
right,
guys.
Thank you.
You want to move to the middle there by the mic?
Sure. Is that the mic there?
Yeah.
Is that a mic?
No, that's connected to the phones.
And for the record, this is the request of the application 2023-015. The applicant is the owner of record, Randall Sessler, S-E-S-S-L-E-R. His request is a variation within the R1 single-family residential district to allow a side yard setback of 1/2.5 feet instead of the minimum 5-foot setback required from the north property line. He's also seeking a side yard setback of 1/2 foot instead of the minimum 5-foot setback required from the south property line. And he's also requesting a street setback of 0 feet instead of the minimum 30 feet required. The property consists of .23 acres, is located on the west side of South Fernwood Lane, approximately 400 feet south of the intersection of South Fernwood Lane and West Fernwood Lane. Common street address is 2003 South, obviously, Fernwood Lane, McHenry, Illinois, Township of Nunda. The tax ID number is 1412476-020. The current land use is single-family residential, and the adjacent land use to the north and the south would be single-family residential. To the east is vacant, to the west is the Fox River. The property is currently zoned R1 single-family residential, and the adjacent zoning to the north, south, and east would be R1 single-family residential. To the west would be the Fox River. The 2030 plan designates this as environmentally sensitive area, and the municipal plans within 1.5 miles would be Holiday Hills, no designation, McHenry, medium-density residential, Prairie Grove, no designation. The property is currently improved with a one-story frame residence, frame garage, concrete driveway. And there are no wetlands on the subject property. And there is a zoning violation 2022-342 currently open on the residential property. There is also a building permit K-3553 that is pending, and there would be an after-the-fact residential addition for additions or alterations in that request. The original residence was built in 1945, and it should be noted that the proposed detached garage would be located in close proximity to the adjacent neighbor's garage to the south. If this request is granted, it would be possible for the applicant to complete the building permit that is on file. And for the record, can you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Randall Sussler, Sessler,
And where do you live?
2003 South Fernwood Lane,
And how
McHenry.
long have you lived there?
4.5 years.
And what is your occupation?
Carpenter contractor.
Okay. And you kind of sort of should have known you needed a building permit. What happened?
Started remodeling and one thing led to another, and
And before you started to remodel, what was the condition of your house?
moldy, rotten, and bee infested.
And your neighbors kind of would agree that the property was in pretty rotten condition when you started.
Correct.
And have you talked to your neighbors about what you want to do?
I did.
And who did you talk to and what did they say?
I talked to the neighbors south of me and north of me, and I got letters from the one north of me saying they are a big improvement of what I'm doing. They're okay with that.
And the neighbor to the north and south are related, are they not?
Correct.
And the neighbors to the north and south grew up on the house that was to the south of you, correct?
Correct.
And when I talked to them, they said that you were a good guy. That's not particularly relevant, but they did say that. And they said the property was basically in rotten condition, and you've improved it 900%.
Correct.
Would you agree with that?
I agree.
And the neighbors that I talked to said they were very much in favor of your request. Can you describe your neighborhood? It appears to be somewhat unique.
Yeah, it's like going through Dressler Park. You go a mile down the road and you hit 26 houses back there along the river. Just got roads put in. It was all used to be gravel.
And Nunda now takes care of.
None of the township takes care of the roads now.
Did you talk to the township guy about what you wanted to do?
Nunda Township?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
He's okay with it. We already got it all situated and recorded.
And the property between your subdivision and River Road, a lot of it is wetland, is it not?
Correct.
So it's very unlikely that anything will ever be built there.
Correct.
And your street is a dead-end street to either direction,
Correct.
and the traffic, I would imagine, is fairly minimal.
Correct.
In fact, most of the traffic would probably be golf carts and little John Deere
Side-by-sides,
vehicles,
correct.
side-by-sides. Did you have any other place that you could do this addition? Why did you choose this location?
I knew the guy that owned the property, and he offered he asked me if I wanted to buy it, so I did.
Okay, but the construction that you started, why did you choose that particular spot on your lot?
I wanted somewhat the same footprint.
Okay. When you mean same footprint, what do you mean? What was there before?
A one-bedroom, one-bath house.
Okay, so you basically kind of knocked that down?
I left a part of a wall, but yeah, knocked down most of it.
Okay. So what you're seeking to do is basically to put new construction on the prior existing footprint of the property, correct?
Correct. I made a little altercations to the footprint, but yes.
Okay. I did not realize that before.
Yeah.
I assume that
And
you're
that-
not currently living there then?
I cannot live there, no. I'd like to live there.
Where is your well and septic on the property?
The septic's towards the west side, towards the river,
Okay.
and then my well is on the east side, southeast side of the building, the single-family home.
Kim, are there any issues with either the well or the septic?
The septic has been replaced or remodeled?
No, it's got to be replaced. I can't replace it until I knock down the garage.
Okay. Due to the location of the addition on the rear of the home, the septic needs to be modified.
Okay. But that will be taken care of, that will be addressed.
It's
Yeah.
already addressed, I already got permits, ready to go.
And the location of the well will be taken in consideration?
The health department, I believe, has already verified that it
It's
needs
o-
separation from the addition.
Yes.
And if there were any deviation from what he was doing in terms of adding a bedroom, then that would be picked up when he puts in the new septic, so we don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Okay. And would you agree that there was a prior existing structure that was in bad shape, or you may not have an idea as to what was there?
Yeah, I know just of the footprint, based off of historical aerial photographs, but I don't know the condition of the residence personally.
Okay. I had a question, I forgot it. Between the edge of your property line and the existing roadway, is there a little bit of space that's part of the roadway that you don't own?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'll ask him. The yellow line or green line, I'm colorblind, whatever color that is, to the right of that, between that line and the roadway, is that part of the Nunda Township property?
Correct.
Yes, it is part of the right of way.
Okay, so there is a little bit of space between the roadway and where his property will be.
Correct.
Do you know roughly how many feet that might be? I know it's a bit of an angle.
I would imagine that's probably about
6
6
feet?
or 7 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. And to your knowledge, there are no plans to expand that roadway, are there?
No,
And there really wouldn't be any purpose because there's so few homes on it and.
correct. You see that garage leaning too. That's about to fall down. I got braces inside there. So that gives you an idea what the house looked like.
You are an adventurous man.
So I've been told.
Just bear with me 1 second.
Sure.
And I did notice that you had your sign posted in front of the property.
Mhm.
That's what I was looking for. As I'm facing your property, the house that's to the left has a garage and also has a residence, correct?
Correct.
But they also have kind of a metal roofed shed on their property, do they not?
Yeah, it's just shed. I don't know if it's metal roof, but yeah.
But they've got a vehicle parked under it, looks like.
Oh, that, I'm sorry, yes, yes, yes,
There's a metal,
yes.
And
Carport.
that's actually very, very close to the roadway and closer than what you're trying to do, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If you can look at the standards that we went through, or need to go through, and I expect you to be highly skilled at this. I'll be very disappointed if you fail me. Isn't it true that the particular surrounding shape or topographical condition of the specific property involved will result in a particular hardship upon you, the owner, as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the strict letter of the regulations were carried out? Isn't that true?
That is true.
Isn't it also true that the conditions upon which the application for a variation are based are unique to the property for which the variation is sought and are not generally applicable to other property within the same zoning district? Isn't that true?
That is true.
Isn't it true that the purpose of the isn't it true that the purpose of the variation is not based exclusively upon a desire to increase the monetary gain realized from property? Isn't that true?
That is true.
You want to have a house that you can live in
Correct.
that is not rotten and falling down, correct?
Correct.
And isn't it true that the alleged difficulty or hardship is caused by the ordinance and has not been created by any person presently having an interest in the property? Isn't that true?
That is true.
And the house that was there was built in what, was it 1945?
1945.
And the zoning rules were probably very, very difficult back then. Is that correct?
That's correct.
As far as you know, the structure was built in compliance with the ordinance at the time, or whatever ordinance was not in place at the time, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it true that the granting of the variation will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood in which the property is located? Isn't that true?
That is true.
Isn't it also true that the proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property or substantially increase the congestion in the public streets or increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety or substantially diminish or impair property values within the adjacent neighborhood? Isn't that true?
That is true.
And you have a very limited amount of traffic on that street, correct?
Correct.
And the old structure was actually more likely to catch fire, other than maybe a little wet or moldy, but that was a more dangerous structure, was it not?
That is correct, yes.
And isn't it true that the granting of the variation requested will not confer on you, the applicant, any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other land or structure of the same zoning district? Isn't that true?
That is true.
Staff, do you have anything that you wish to add?
I just wanted to point out that the new house does mainly follow the footprint of the previous house. There was an addition to the southeast corner of the property that extended slightly into the right-of-way, but the petitioner did obtain written approval from the Township Highway Commissioner
Good.
that they are accepting of that being in the right-of-way. The setback along the north property line is the same as what is currently there. He's not encroaching any closer. And then along the south property line, I had mentioned in my report, I don't know if you've already spoken with the building division, but just to note that the garage, if it is less than 5 feet from the neighbor's garage, there will be some fire separation
Yes,
materials that need, that are
and I did take
required.
care of that. I already sent a new one in. I'll put some fire-treated plywood and some drywall on the inside.
Okay, great.
And wouldn't you agree that the structure that was there would be more in the category of an old-fashioned kind of cottage?
Yes,
And this would be a substantial improvement.
I would think so.
That would close the hearing. I would be in favor of this request. You are in a very, very, very unique area that I never knew existed. You have met the requisite standards, and you are tremendously improving the property. Your neighbors are incredibly supportive of what you are seeking to do, and what you had before was a property that had to be knocked down. So, good luck. I'm in favor of this request, and the county board will vote on this.
On May 16th.
And I no longer live in the county, so I can admit that from time to time I built things without a permit.
Well, as you know, down there, no, I won't say nothing, but